A lot of people are big fan of the Beatles. Of course, one of their well-known songs among many is "All You Need Is Love." Love, love, love. Love, love, love. Love, love, love. It's easy. All you need is love. Do-do-do-do. So it's true, I think, that in the end of the day, all we need is love. But what does that mean exactly? And if we've, of course, ever tried it, which I think all of us have, we know it's not easy. We know it's not easy. This love that's not a feeling, but it's a choice. It's an act of the will to give ourselves over to the beloved. Of course, we have the greatest example of that in Jesus, who said, "There's no greater love than this, than to lay down one's life for one's friends." And we know that's not just theoretical, because he did it for us. So he says, "Love one another as I love you, as I love you." So that willingness to give ourselves over for the good of another. We know there's no real love without a sacrifice. You know that plenty well, having raised kids, with parents, with siblings, with close friends, with any really meaningful relationship, right? It always involves that willingness to put ourselves aside for the good of the other. And then they're doing that for us. And in that way, that mutual setting aside for another, it imitates the life of God. We hear in our second reading that well-known phrase, God is love. That God is a relationship of persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and the love between the Father and the Son is so complete that it forms a third person, the Holy Spirit, which is the love that they share. So to be people made in the image and likeness of God, and God is love, and Jesus said there's no greater love than to lay down one's life for one's friends, that when we put ourselves aside for the good of another, when we make that choice to love, even perhaps especially when it's difficult, we're imitating the very life of God. And then, in a sense, fulfilling our purpose in the world for people made in his image and likeness. Again, we know it's just not always easy. And so we need the grace of God to help us to do what we were made for. So we rely upon the Lord. It says, "Remain in me." And of course, we know he remains in us in a special way through his presence in the Eucharist when he offers us a holy communion with his giving of himself for us. But we know, especially here in our Easter season, that giving of the self and love to another doesn't lead to a diminishment, but to a newer and greater and more fuller life. And Jesus says, "I tell you all this so that my joy might be in you." Sometimes we don't always associate joy with sacrifice, but I think, if you think about it, probably for not that much long of a time, you know that when you have a deep down contentment in your relationships, it's because you know that you've given yourself over in love for the other, and that fills you up. That's the life of God, and that's sort of what we're made for. We rely upon the help of Jesus to do this. We can call upon the Holy Spirit to do this. Again, one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit is love, is charity. So as we encounter Christ here in the Mass today, let us remember that you and I are caught up in the great act of love that God is, who has made us in that image and likeness, and who calls us to step into that each day so that we can know our meaning in life, so that we can have the ultimate joy in our life of living the very life of God.